Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are taking a look at Elfnote, the newest synchro, I guess, Medius archetype? I don't know, it's the new lore archetype. It is centered around the center main monster zone. That's right, congratulations. However, also, of course, it is a synchro deck, which means that, of course, Baron is here. Yay. So, I'm going to quickly go through the card by card and the explanation, starting off with the Elfnotes themselves. Now, this is a Medius archetype, but the Elfnotes have a specific mechanic centered around the main monster zone. If the main monster zone is clear, Lucina, why did I say Lucius? Lucina, Tania, and Fortuna all can special summon themselves into that main monster zone, or center main monster zone, and then from there, each of them have a different effect after, or as an ignition effect. Not an on summon effect. Is it ignition? I don't know. Anyway, they activate an effect, not on summon, to either place a face-up card or to search a card. Lucina searches a card, Tania places a spell, a continuous spell face up, and Fortuna places a trap face up. On top of that, we have Regina, or Regina, we'll go with Regina, which has the ability to quick effect, send an Elfnote to special summon this card. Then if it's specialed to the center main monster zone, it can special summon another Elfnote from your deck, allowing you the ability to tribute off one of your used Elfnotes to summon another one from deck, also giving you the ability to dodge potential hand traps. On top of that, we also, of course, have the Power Patron, because this is a Medius deck, which allows you to go into, or to modulate the level of the monster in the center main monster zone by 3, and then use it as synchro material. On top of that, if it's sent to the graveyard for synchro material, you can add an Elfnote card from your deck to your hand. Pretty solid. And then, of course, we're also playing Medius in here as well as an additional way to get into our Elfnotes, because Medius, alongside the Power Patron, does the Elfnote combo as well. So it's a nice normal summon. Since we also don't have another normal summon outside of the Power Patron, it's a nice 5 normal summons, 5-ish. Technically, we have like 7, because we're also playing the Fiendsmith package, which, by the way, yeah, the Fiendsmith package is in here. It's very easy to get access to it due to the fact that the only way that you are locked into the synchros is when Power Patron is on the field, so it's very easy to just put additional guys onto the field. Not to mention, you also have the ability to get into it via Theo Realize, which is a really weird card. It sends Medius for cost, for some reason, and looks at the opponent's deck. I don't know who printed this card. It's probably the same person who made... what is it? Circular, that also sends for cost. Don't send cards for cost, Konami. I don't know why we do this. This is a bad idea. Just make it send for effect so that people can interact with it. I don't know why we would cut off ways of interaction. I feel like that's just lame. Anyway, beside the point. Sorry about that. You can also banish it and target a face-up card you control, and then it declare a monster type and attribute, Light Fiend, and then they become that attribute. On top of that, we are also playing Armades, which happens to be a Light Fiend and a level 5 Synchro monster that you can utilize with Medius and Power Patron to go into the Fiendsmith line. So there's a bunch of different ways to get into the Fiendsmith stuff on top of all of the other normal ways. So there's a bunch of things that you can do via that. Not to mention, we kind of just have additional space within our deck in order to add additional pieces. I am playing 42, which may seem strange, but the reason for this is because while we don't technically have any hard bricks, there are things that we don't necessarily want to draw, right? We don't want to draw things like Lurie or Lacrima, nor do we want to draw either of the continuous cards, the continuous spell, Welcome Home, as well as Rhapsody. So again, that's why the 42. Speaking of these, both of these are very powerful additional cards to play for your Elfnotes. Welcome Home allows you to send another Elfnote to the grave to special summon a different attributed one. Now, notably, this one does lock you into synchros, so there's that. The other notable card is Rhapsody, which gives you the ability to send at quick effect speed in order to reborn a guy. So notably, you can send a guy in order to reborn a different attributed monster. And then on top of that, if you are... if you control a synchro monster, you can negate a face-up card your opponent controls. So that's pretty solid. They also technically have additional effects where monsters in the center main monster zone can't be destroyed via Welcome Home's effect, and Rhapsody allows you to, or forces the opponent to only attack the monster in the center main monster zone. As for the rest of the cards, it's pretty simple, just hand traps, Droll, Fua, Ash Blossom. We're also playing Triple Tack, because Triple Tack is extremely good right now. We also have the Called By and the Crossout. And Foolish for Medius, because you can Foolish Medius and then shuffle back pretty much anything in order to do the full combo. So that's kind of the idea there. As for the rest of the cards, we are playing one Fiendsmith Lacrima, as well as the DD High Wave King Caesar for our targets. And then we have a few Link monsters in the Requiem, Moon, and Sequence, as well as SP Little Knight. Typhon's also in here. And then a bunch of Synchros. I previously mentioned Armades. We have Black Rose, FA Dawn Dragster as 7s to go into, just generic 7s. FA Dawn Dragster being a spell trap negate. Black Rose is funny because it blows up the field. We have a few 8s in here as well in Crystal Wing and Dragite, which both can be made pretty consistently, either for a spell trap negate with Dragite or a monster negate with Crystal Wing. And then we also playing the Elfnote Seraphim, I'm just going to call it Seraphim, which has the ability to reborn. It's just a reborn spell. It's pretty solid. It can modulate the levels of the cards on field. It never comes up. I've never needed it. In fact, it's been highly detrimental to actually change the levels because it's really strange. It's all level 4 or higher monsters lose 3. It's very, I don't know. It technically has applications for like summoning Genora, but we're not playing Genora, so just don't use it. Then we also, of course, have Baron and Chaos Angel. Both of these are actually pretty easy to summon, so there you go. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performs. Alrighty, here we are going first. And yeah, this generally will show you what the deck can accomplish. We have a pretty good hand here. We're going to start with Lucina. We're going to activate its effect in order to grab Regina, and then normal summon the Medius. Medius is going to special summon the Power Patron, which will modulate the level of the Lucina in the middle monster zone and make Baron. Now, notably, you don't actually have to summon... I summoned this in the wrong zone. This is just straight up a misplay on my part. But it's fine because I'm stupid. What I was going to say is the Power Patron does give you the ability to search. If it's just used as synchro material, you don't even have to summon a art mage or a an Elfnote. So yeah, we just summon out or search out the Tinia here. Tinia is going to grab the Welcome Home, and then Welcome Home we can actually use and just special summon the Fortuna. And then we get to go for the Regina. Regina effect is going to activate, and we're going to summon a second Power Patron to then synchro here in order to go into the Seraphim. From here, we can activate the Regina to add itself back. Forgot to mention this. Yeah, it can add itself back to the hand if used as synchro material. So, there you go. Then we reborn the Power Patron once again, and then we can go into the Chaos Angel, because Fortuna and Medius are light and dark. It gives us unaffected, basically can't be destroyed by combat synchro monsters, which is very advantageous. So, there's that. Now we can also go into the Dragite, because Tinia happens to be a water, and we can then use our other monster in hand, our other Elfnote, to bring back the Seraphim. I do think that this is... obviously, it's worse because we have no Fiendsmith cards, so it's a bit of a goof on my part, but I'm pretty okay with this end board. Yeah, pretty solid. My opponent is going to go for the Vision. Cool. They're going to activate the Radiant, or the Mystical Space Typhoon, and I'm going to activate the Trap here. This is a bit of a goof on my part. Obviously, what I should have done is activate the Seraphim to bring back a guy, just pretty much anything, right? And then utilize the Seraphim and just, like, send it to the graveyard, so that I still have the ability to kind of have that additional piece to the puzzle, basically. So, a bit of a goof. Oh well, what can you do? We summon the Tinia here, and they're going to go for the Linkage, which I am probably going to negate with the Dragite, because otherwise it would be turned off, so oopsie poopsie, bad on my part. They're going to go for the Widow Anchor, which I am obviously going to negate with the Baron as well, and if they have Droplet here, they just have Droplet. There's not really anything that I can do about that. Tragic. So yeah, we negate pretty much the majority of the field, and we're going to special summon the Tinia so that we have the ability to rip a card out of the opponent's hand. I forgot to mention, all of the elf notes actually do have a very important effect where during the opponent's turn, they can switch places with the monster in the center main monster zone in order to do a thing, right? So for example, Tania can banish a random card from the opponent's hand. Fortuna has the ability to bounce a spell trap, and then Lucina has the ability to bounce a level 6 or lower monster. None of them are particularly great, but they do matter in the sense that oftentimes you will add them into whatever other end board pieces you have as additional points of interaction. For example, dealing with like JJ Cool Tune with Fortuna, or being able to bounce something like a Medius. I don't know. There's a bunch of other things that you could bounce as well with Lucina. So for the most part, that's kind of the idea. And then my opponent, of course, has the super polymerization, so I can't even activate the Tania. And last but not least, triple tag. They're going to take. Now, they get to make Camellia here and then go into Hayate because any two monsters also does Sky Striker full combo. For some reason, I'm really glad we have given every deck the ability to just make any two guys into their full combo. Imagine having to actually play your cards. Yeah, that'd be a real travesty, huh? Anyway, out comes Zeke. They're going to go then into Shizuku, and then during the end phase, they are going to search in order to go into the special maneuver. They can't go for the linkage here because it's already engraved, so they just go for the special maneuver. Lucky me, I draw Lurie. Hip hip hooray. To be fair, my opponent did end up breaking the board. However, it doesn't matter because obviously we already had the tract in rotation, but we still had the ability to just use either of our... not either. I believe we could still use the trap. No, yeah, we can use either of them in order to get the elf notes in rotation. So we're going to go for the engraver here and then normal summon this guy. It's super polymerization because of course it is. That's fine, mostly due to the fact that, yeah, we still have all of the elf notes. Engraver has not been used as of yet, so we could special summon that guy back, and then we can send a guy in order to go into the Regina. Regina is going to grab the the Lucina. Lucina is going to then be sent to the graveyard in order to go for the Fortuna. We're going to shuffle away with Medius and then just pass the turn here. At this point, we can literally just swap with Fortuna. They're going to go to combat here. I'm going to swap here, just bounce a guy so that I can rip a card out of their hand. It's Droll, sure. They are forced to basically draw for their life. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't matter what they have. We have the negation effect on field, right? We just activate the trap card, bring back a guy, negate. If you were wondering why I couldn't go into anything there, I just didn't have anything to go into, right? I couldn't go into the Fiendsmith stuff because we got fusion locked by activating the spell, and obviously we got super polyed, so can't really do that. And I didn't really have any synchros to go into because I didn't have a tuner. So there you go. Alrighty, here we are going second, and our hand is actually fairly good. We have Regina, which has the ability to actually interact with our opponent, as well as Fuelos. Why did I not activate the Fuelos there? Who, me? Not activate Fuelos? No, I surely would have done that, right? No, I just forgot. I just forgot how Habakiri worked for a second there. So, oops. Anyway, it's fine. It's just one draw. What will that matter? It doesn't, obviously. But, our opponent's going to add back the ritual. They're going to special summon the guy. They're going to activate the ritual. I'm going to activate Fuelos. They are going to activate no Ash Balls. Wow. Great. Who would have guessed? Out comes Habakiri 2, Electric Boogaloo, which is very interesting. They're going to go Prayers here and add back their guy. Sure. Activate the Prayers, Reborn. I go for the Reina here because we have the ability to actually just banish here by going for Lucina. So we're going to tribute off the Fortuna and then bounce in order to banish the Huzuma. What's it? The where'd he go? Banish the Night Sword Serpent. So yeah, they couldn't go into a rank 4. I was kind of worried about them going into a rank 4 to go into the Ryziel stuff. However, it's Elfnote. It's always Elfnote. Because why make anything else when you could just make Baron? Like, legitimately, why not just make Baron? Anyway, out comes Lucina. They're going to add the Fortuna to the hand, and they're going to pop the card in our middle monster zone for some reason. They're going to tribute, where they're going to go for the trap card here. Then they're going to go for the Power Patron and just pass the turn on this. Obviously, I'm fairly certain what the set card is. They searched Prayer, but likely they have the trap here, the Mitsu trap. So they have Baron, the Mitsu trap, as well as Rhapsody. So let's see what we can accomplish here. We draw Tania, which is a fantastic draw, because we can immediately start with that and force interaction. Of course, my opponent elects to go for the Baron here. Sure. Not really a whole lot that I can do about that, but they do negate and destroy. Cool, I'm going to go for the triple attack. Of course, that is met by the counter trap, which is fine. So, out comes that. They're then going to activate the effect of their Habakiri, which will be met by Ash Blossom here, and then they get to... Yeah, okay, yep. They did, in fact, have the ability to go into the Seraphim, which they didn't do previously. So they're going to do that. They're going to trigger both the Regina as well as the other Elfnote, the Power Patron, in order to grab the other one. Anyway, they go for the Tania here, which happens to hit the only card that would have allowed us to stay in this game, which is the Droll. Okay, cool. I activate the Theo Realize, sending it to the graveyard, the Medius, and now I can change the attribute of the monster currently on the field to a Light Fiend. That's right. So they're going to go for the Lucina, which adds back the Regina, and then I can special summon the Medius. Medius effect is going to activate. They are going to attempt to target a monster in the graveyard with the Rhapsody in order to negate the Medius, but here's the thing. I have Called by the Grave, a card that shouldn't exist, but alas, it does. So I can just call by the target and then go for the Power Patron. Out comes the Lucina, and we get to special summon it. Since we special summoned it on the previous turn, we haven't used its effect yet. And same thing with the Regina. Regina is going to summon the Tania, and I believe that card is in the grave. But at this point, we have full combo for both the Fiendsmith as well as for the Elfnote. So the game is pretty much over at that point. I can walk over the entire field pretty effectively there. They don't have... I guess they still technically do have follow-up. I don't think I fully can just kill them, but I do think I'm basically putting myself in a position where it's unlosable for me. So yeah, there you go. Good game. Alrighty, and here we are once again going second, and that's not a bad hand, especially when my opponent passes. Alright, let's see what we can accomplish. Maxi, okay, don't worry, we won the minigame. It's all good. Okay, cool. We're going to start off here with the Tania. We're going to activate its effect. We're going to grab the spell, which will be promptly met by Ash Blossom. Okay, we're going to activate the triple attack. Look at the hand. Crocia. Shuffle it away. Let's see what my opponent has here. We're going to go for the Lurie here. Lurie. He's the star of the show. Special summon himself. We all know the Fiendsmith line at this point. Activate the Fiendsmith. Going to Lacrima. Send Engraver. And now we're going to go for the Theo Realize so that I can shuffle away the guy, and special summon the Medius. Medius is going to grab the Power Patron, and at this point, I'm thinking of my lose condition here, which I'm like, oh, my lose condition is that this is super polymerization. So, let's see what it is. Shall we? We're going to go Baron. We're going to activate the effect of the Power Patron, grab Lucina, and let's see what this... Oh, super polymerization. Oh, is that a super polymerization I see? Oh, if only I had played into the super polymerization. No, to be fair, even if they had super polyed me, there was a very small likelihood that I actually lose that game there. So, there's that. But, got him. Alrighty, here we are once again going first, and our hand is pretty good. First and foremost, we're going to start here with the Lucina. We're going to activate its effect to grab Fortuna, since we already have the Regina. And we're met by Droll. Cool. We're going to take a look at the hand. Called by the Grave. Oh, no. Okay, well, we're going to go for the Medius here. We're still going to make the Baron, because why wouldn't we? Out comes Fortuna. Fortuna is going to grab the Trap card. Then we're going to go for the Regina in order to summon the Tania, and then go into the Moon. Yay, Moon. Hooray. Yay. Fiendsmith. We all love Fiendsmith, right? Anyway, out comes Engraver. We're going to go for the sequence here. We're going to activate the effect of the sequence. We're going to shuffle back 2 guys. We're going to summon out the Lacrima. We're going to activate the Lacrima. We're going to special summon out the Engraver. We're going to then go into the DD High Wave King. And then we're going to send it to the graveyard in order to special summon out the Lucina and Reborn as well in order to go into the Seraphim. Seraphim is also going to Reborn the Power Patron and then sync those off into Dragite and pass the turn. Yeah, this is a very extremely strong hand here. We're going to send the Regina in order to summon the Lucina. This is a bit of a goof on my part. I have the Seraphim in grave. I should have just special summoned the Seraphim, which could then special summon another guy and be on field, which would arguably be better. So, oops. It's fine, though. We basically know what our opponent is playing, so out comes the Eldam, and I'm like, okay, I'll negate that. They're going to go for the Terror Top, and I'm like, okay, I will negate that as well. And then they make Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, and I go, oh, shoot, they have Zeus. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. So they're going to crash, and then go Zeus, and nuke the field. You know, I didn't think about that. Oopsie poopsie. They're going to go Rhoda for Argo Star. Glorious Adra. Wow, okay, that was not at all what I was expecting. I saw the Rhoda and thought it was going to be Sky Striker, given the fact that we saw Mystical Space Typhoon as well. I think we saw Eldam, MST, and Rhoda, and I assumed it was obviously going to be Sky Striker. No, it was Argo Star for some reason. Okay. Well, I draw a useless card here, so it's fine. Here's where the Fiendsmith stuff comes in handy. So, yeah, I just get to do the Fiendsmith combo. Cool. They should be dead here. So, we're going to go for the Engraver, send with Requiem, and then go for Medius. Just shuffle away the guy, and we know what's in hand, so, yeah, we get to go for Armades, and then activate the Power Patron, grab Lucina. Lucina is going to special summon itself, grab Regina, and then Regina is going to special summon itself into the main monster zone so that we can summon another guy, and that is lethal. So, barely. It was like 6,700 damage. Good game. All right, we're back with the deck, and honestly, this deck is pretty good. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, this deck's pretty solid. It makes Baron. I wish that there was another thing that I could say about this deck, but there kinda isn't. That's the big upside. You get to make Baron. How many other decks right now have the capability of making Baron consistently? The answer is pretty much all of them, because for some reason Baron is not banned. But the point is that this deck probably has the easiest ability to make Baron while also getting the most bang for your buck out of making Baron, because you get, you know, Lucina does the whole line by itself without even taking up a normal summon. You could also do Medius, which also gives you the ability to do a whole bunch of other crap on top of that. Plus, you can play the Fiendsmith stuff, which is very easy to add into this deck. And there's a bunch of other things of that nature where it's just like, yeah, guess what? You get to make Baron, and you get to do some crazy end board stuff. It kind of is just that. You can play a bunch of non-engine as well. As you see here, there's a fair amount of it, but there's not a ton. You don't necessarily need to, right? Instead, you can just kind of win with the inherent power of being able to freely special summon a guy without starting a chain, because, yeah, that's really powerful in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Or just in Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. I mean, look at the Kashtira's. These are kind of similar. They're not quite the same, but they're kind of similar in the sense that instead of being additional interaction or like punishing your opponent for interacting with you, they're just starters and extenders that have similar requirements, right? If the center main monster zone is alive, you get to play the game pretty much unfettered. It's really strong. So all in all, it's just a it's another synchro deck. I wish I could say something interesting about this deck, but there's nothing interesting about it. It's a pretty bland synchro deck. Doesn't have any real interesting gimmicks. I guess the center main monster zone gimmick is something, but I mean, it's a bunch of guys that special summon themselves and then get a tuner onto the field and go from there into a myriad of extra deck monsters, most notably synchros, right? Which happen to have some of the most powerful and frustrating boss monsters. Things like Baron, things like Dawn Dragster, Crystal Wing, etc. Cool. That's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.